special guest today is Leke Asong, and he is a GP and he is a functional medicine doctor specialist. Is that,
Correct.
are all those correct? Okay. Leke, tell us, well, first of all, thank you so much for being here. Where are you joining us from? Can I ask you where you're at? Because we like to travel through the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. I am, thank you for having me, by the way. I am in Nottinghamshire in England, in the
Oh,
Midlands.
wow. Wow. One of my favorite countries to visit. So we're taking a visit to England today. And so, like, tell us, I think I know I had started to say, I don't think everybody knows what functional medicine is. I do talk a lot about eating functional foods, and people don't get it either. So I know, but anyway, can you tell everyone what is functional medicine?
Yeah, sure. So, functional medicine is a science-based method that seeks to find the root cause of disease. Essentially, conventional medicine generally treats symptoms only and is really geared towards acute diseases, so short-term diseases.
Right.
Chronic diseases are better served by a functional medicine method where you
Uh-huh.
seek to find the root cause. Once you sort the root cause out, then disease disappears, if you like.
Wow. And that seems to make a lot more sense than loading people up with tons of drugs just to mask symptoms and things like that and making them sicker, right? So I truthfully, as I mentioned, as a chef, I know of functional foods. I haven't heard a lot about functional medicine. Is that also something that is practiced in the US?
Oh yeah, it started in the US.
Oh, it did.
It's quite popular in America. Yes.
Huh. So I will have to seek out. Knock on wood, I don't have anything to seek out someone for yet, but
Yeah.
that's a very interesting, and I'm glad to hear concept. So, I guess one of the things I was going to ask you is any, tips you can give the audience on, I mentioned like functional foods, like eating a healthier diet and eating, you know, things that are functional versus just eating to, eat. People are just starting, I think, to realize this concept. But can you give us any tips on how people should be eating in their diet and things like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Diet is quite personalized thing, but there's some general rules.
Hmm.
And I think the best place to start is what to avoid. Once you know what to avoid, you then tailor what you should eat. So I've got an acronym called Evil Gods. It's GODS.
Uh-huh.
So G stands for gluten.
Uh-huh.
The O in the God stands for refined vegetable oils. D is dairy, pasteurized dairy, I'd say, and S is sugar in all forms.
Uh-huh.
Now, there's a complicated topic, especially gluten and dairy, because gluten, some people tolerate it, some people don't.
Right.
But I'm a gut health specialist when I do functional medicine. So I tend to tell my clients to avoid gluten, but then again, it's all subjective. So once you avoid the evil gods, the next thing to do is concentrate on whole foods.
Uh-huh.
So you really want nutritionally dense foods, so cruciferous vegetables, leafy green vegetables, and you really want to have as much variety as possible. So the rainbow
Hmm.
concept, because the more colors you have, the more phytonutrients you have.
Huh.
And the more fiber you have in your food, that's fodder for your gut bacteria. So you get an optimized microbiome.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's a basis.
Yeah,
So
that's
avoiding
that's
processed foods, evil gods, and then fresh
yes,
foods.
yes. I always tell people if it comes in a plastic package and it has like a mile long list of ingredients that you don't even know, just forget it. Don't even bother. So with eating it, right? Because
Yeah.
just all chemically processed foods. So I guess so do you see it seems like more and more people are getting sensitive or allergic to gluten, having a gluten allergy. Does that seem the case? It seems like more and more people.
Yeah. That's a good question. It's a very complicated topic. I mean, there are different reasons or
Right,
hypotheses for this.
right.
Some people think the cultivars are different. So some of the hybridized wheat has got a bit more carbohydrate in it compared to the kind of old variety of wheat.
Yeah.
Some things like glyphosate in the wheat causing the problem.
Huh? Huh.
'Cause that can cause, glyphosate, it can cause problems to your mitochondria and
Oh,
damage your
yes.
microbiome.
Right.
And some think is even stress, for example.
Ah,
Stress might cause a specific reaction in the body, causing kind of intolerance to the
right,
gluten.
right.
Yeah, so the different hypotheses
Different
in there.
reasons. Yes, I always just felt that it's something with the way that it's being grown because, it just seems to be an up and coming thing that's happening more and more. So I'm sure it may not be really the gluten, but how it's grown and all the other things you just mentioned that it's involved in processing the gluten that I'm assuming that
Yeah.
causes it. But I've noticed there's a lot of other like I do book signings and wine tasting dinners and all, and people come up to me and will ask, "Does this have this in it or that in it?" I'm allergic to, and there are so many allergies now. People are allergic to lemons and I mean nuts. Okay, I've known that for a long time
Mm.
and gluten, but loads of allergies that I had not even heard of, bananas and this and that, unless it's just they're thinking that. But it seems like more and more people are allergic to a variety of things that I never knew there were allergies to.
Yeah. I think another point, just to go back on the gluten, is also
Yes,
how the food is cooked. Like, for example, if you
yes,
go to Italy and have a pizza,
yes.
people who bloat with a pizza in England have got no problems with a pizza in Italy sometimes. So
Oh,
they leave it to ferment for a longer period of time. There's no rush. I think in England and America, everything's done in a rush. So it
yes,
doesn't really ferment properly. But going back to the allergies, for example,
yes.
some of them are not true allergies. They're really imbalances in the microbiome that's causing your body to reject foods.
Ah,
So I tell clients if you're allergic to a whole variety of foods, the problem isn't the foods, the problem is your gut. You've got to optimize your gut microbiome and then the
uh-huh.
foods will be fine. So it's not really a lot of them, they're not problems with the food, it's more your body
The
rejecting it.
body. And I've from research that I understand probiotics are really good for the microbiome. Does that help balance
Yeah, absolutely. Prebiotics are good with your
the
fruit and vegetables.
probiotics?
Probiotics are good, fermented foods and supplements, and even postbiotics as well. Those are quite good.
Oh, postbiotics. Now, are they in do they occur naturally in food? I've heard of pre and probiotics, but I've never heard of postbiotics. What kinds of foods are contain those?
Yeah, so it is the products formed by the probiotics. So short chain fatty acids, for example,
Huh?
which the bacteria feed on, those are postbiotics.
Oh, okay. Huh. Very, very interesting. That's very interesting. So let's see. I know you've given us tips on how we can eat better and anything else you can tell us more about functional medicine. It sounds like it's a much better concept than just, as we were saying, masking the symptoms is going and finding the real cause of what's causing what you're having.
Yeah, I think it's a very comprehensive method of finding the root cause. And once you find the root cause, your body resets itself into a state of balance. So that's a whole concept. Your body's in a state of balance. If you've
Right.
got diseases, then it's out of balance, then you've got to reset it.
Reset your body.
So like stress levels, nutrition, chronic infections, and toxins in the environment, those are very important concepts in functional medicine because those things destabilize your gut microbiome, your hormonal system, your internal milieu, and all of that. So once you fix those, everything falls into place.
That's very, very interesting. That's very interesting. So, like, can people find you anywhere? We're almost out of time, so I wanted to let people know where they could find you.
Yeah, sure. At guthealthmedic.com
Okay.
or on Instagram at guthealthmedic or TikTok at guthealthmedic.
Okay. So, and do you have a book out, or it sounds like you must have videos because you're on TikTok, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've got a few videos.
There you go.
I've got a book out actually
You
called
do.
"How to Stay Ahead of Your Doctor and Influence Your Health." It's on Amazon.
Okay, that's great. How to stay ahead of your doctor and influence your health. So, any tips from that book you can give us? Any real quick tips?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is most health happens outside the doctor's office, so be proactive. Doctors have got only 10 minutes in England anyway to
Yes,
diagnose
here
and treat.
too.
So
Here too.
you've got to do your homework before you come in.
Yes,
And nutrition is so important, don't overlook it. Social relationships are important, and having a sense of purpose is very important for health.
yes, yes. All good tips. That's great. Tell us the name of that book again, like just so people can. I think that sounds like a wonderful book.
Sure, it's called How to Stay Ahead of Your Doctor and Influence Your Health.
There you go. That's great. And it was gutmedic.com is your
Gut
website.
Health Medic.
Gut
Gut
Health,
Health Medic.
guthealthmedic.com. That's great. Thank you so much for being here, and hopefully we'll have you back in the near future.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, thanks.